I've got like this purpose of helping people to find better ways of doing things which they'll enjoy more. And to do that, they can come and share their experiences with each other. The signal is the actual thing that you want to listen to, the clean stuff. There's just so much noise out there, right? And so with signal, not noise, we want to have valuable interactions rather than lots of, dumb hot takes. Actually doing something and getting stuck in. Is it Roosevelt's quote about getting there and doing that? And critic doesn't count. No one can really criticize you if you really got in there and tried to do something, even if you failed, right?
Welcome to the Product House, where product people get real. So today we have a very exciting announcement. Product House is finally go live.
Yeah.
We need to have some sound effect here. We are going to do our first in-person podcast in the Signal Not Noise conference, which is going to be hosted in the New South Wales Teacher Federation's Conference Centre in Surrey Hills.
Super excited.
Yes, I know a lot of audience here might not know what Signal Not Noise about and how it all come about.
So we invited Ed Wong, the founder of TABAR and creator of The Last Conference, one of Australia's most loved grassroots community events for people building digital products and services. So since starting in 2012, Last has brought together practitioners across lean, agile, systems thinking, product design, engineering, and delivery. And now Ed is taking that next step with Signal Not Noise. And what it is a refreshed community and conference experience focused on cutting through the noise and creating more valuable conversations.
I really like the name, Signal No Noise. Even I can't pronounce it properly. So the idea also really resonates with us because Product House start from a very similar place. It's all about like building the connections, the communities, and creating a space for product people to have honest conversations about work, about transitions, and about the growth.
So in this episode, we chat with Ed about his journey from Last to Signal, Not Noise, what it takes to build and sustain a community over more than a decade, really, and why product and tech communities are changing and what people need now in a world being reshaped by things like AI, uncertainty, and shifting roles.
I really hope to see some of the Product House in person on the 25th of June in Signal No Noise conference as well. See you there.
Look forward to meeting you guys. So thank you for joining us, Ed.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
We'll kick off with some rapid fire questions just so that audience get to know you a little bit better. Ed, what are you building at the moment? And can you share with the audience what that means to you?
Yeah. Okay. So, I decided to get on brand and find this t-shirt. And then if I sort of do that, you can sort of see this, which is Last Conference cap. So that's sort of like a bridge between what I have been doing and what it's called now, which is Signal Not Noise. Essentially, it's a network of professionals who are working together and building digital products and services. We do that through some conferences. I've brought well-known names, Jürgen Apollo, Alistair Coburn, and something like that from outside of Australia. I was watching John Cutler's interview that you did with him recently, and I've always been trying annually to try and get him to come out here. So when I heard him say that he was still open to the idea, I thought, I better email him again. So these events is basically trying to bring together people who are doing the work of building digital products and services. Amongst those are product managers, which are your core listenership.
Is there a recent non-work thing you leaned into or geeking out about?
Yeah, geeking out, I guess, depending on how you define it. I can geek out about almost anything. So if I think of something which is even slightly interesting to me, I can disappear for hours trying to find out about it.
It seems to be a thread with our guests, but life would be very boring without the interest of finding out about those small things.
It's great to have an inquiring mind, but whether you put that to good use or not is, another thing.
Is there a mantra or quote that you come back to?
Most of the mantras that I would look towards are about actually doing something and getting stuck in. Is it Roosevelt's quote about getting there and doing that? And critic doesn't count. No one can really criticize you if you really got in there and tried to do something, even if you failed, right? But the thing about quotes, always check your sources.
Yes.
That would be my
Good
mantra.
Yeah, handy in the day of AI, that's for sure.
Let's talk a little bit about the Signal No Noise conference. I'm very lucky enough to attend the last conference a few years ago, and then I have been staying in the community. The first time when I hear about a new name, Signal No Noise, I was actually a little bit shocked about the reason why you want to make a change. Tell us a little bit about why you want to make a change.
So in 2012, I decided to start. I didn't want to call it a conference to start off with, but it ended up being called a conference. And it ended up being called Last Conference, LAST, and it stood for Lean, Agile, and Systems Thinking. It came out of these meetup groups that I started to attend when I moved back in Melbourne, where I grew up. But when I was in London, I was going to these meetup groups at night where I met people who were doing similar things to me, were like-minded, who could understand what it is that, I was interested in, which is not always the case when you're doing your day-to-day work.
It's finding your tribe and finding your community, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so when I moved back to live in Australia, I decided to hook up into that. And back then, the Agile scene and the meetups were just really buzzing. Craig Brown and I ending up running 3 of these meetups a month for about 2 years or so or more. And then at one point, I thought, I'll go and see how Sydney's getting on. And I heard about a thing called Agile Tour, which was running up there. And it was a great day of people getting together in an unconference format. And I came back and I said to Craig, we should do something like that. And what it turned into was this conference called Last, which was just really firmly a practitioners grassroots. It's basically just a lot of meetups all happening at the same time. And the way that we scaled was we just added more spaces to have these mini meetups in. So at one point there was like 15 concurrent sessions running at a time, and we had hundreds of people, right? And then Sydney came along and said, we'd like to do something like this as well. Will you help us do it? And that started to build as well. And then Brisbane and Canberra and Adelaide have come on board since then. Yeah, then COVID came along, right? And a lot of things have changed in the last 6 years. We're sitting here last year in 2025. And as I was saying before, like the agility and that side of things was not as buzzy or as new or as interesting to people anymore. And I thought, well, I don't want to start to limit myself by having that as part of the name. And it's been around since 2012. What can we do next? Right? I just thought it was time to do something different.
Then why Signal No Noise then? What kind of problem you're trying to solve? Is there any story behind that?
So, well, the name, I came up with many, many terrible names. And the way I got to Signal Not Noise goes back to the company 37 Signals. So probably needs no introduction to a lot of people. They had a blog called Signal versus Noise. And if you're listening to an old style radio, noise is lots of static and other transmissions going across the thing that you're trying to listen to. Whereas the signal is the actual thing that you want to listen to, the clean stuff. There's just so much noise out there, right? And so with Signal Not Noise, we want to have valuable interactions rather than lots of, dumb hot takes, I guess. Yeah.
But what about the audience itself? Because I think previously in the last conference, as you mentioned, because of name Lean, Agile, System Thinking, you generally attract a bit more kind of Agile coaching, Scrum Master delivery type of person. Now with this more inclusive, bigger kind of name, what are your target audience at the moment?
Yeah, for many years, Craig, who founded this with me, and I were talking about this being a cross-functional event, and it was not just for those Agile coaches or what have you. It was everyone that they worked with, everyone who was building products in a mostly digital way, right? So actually, it's been like that for a long time, but now I'm just trying to push that into the front more and help people realize that. So yes, it's a change, but in some ways it's actually still the same.
It's going back to the original kind of original points when you wanted to starting it. So you're trying to starting as a cross-functional kind of discipline sharing initiative.
Yeah, that's always been part of it, but but because it came out of a particular community, it gets attached its identity to that community, I guess. Yeah.
There were also a lot of core values that made the last conference really successful, right?
Mhm.
What are you bringing purposely through to Signal Not Noise?
Okay. Sense of community for sure. And a lot of that is like authentic conversations. Not everything's just like this perfect scenario that, hey, come along and look at this great thing that we did and we didn't do anything wrong. It's people who are actually doing the work as well. And yeah, that type of thing is what we're trying to bring forward. And the sense, like I was saying before about finding a tribe.
Mm.
I think that's a useful thing, and people coming along and finding people who just sort of get what their problems and things that they're facing day to day are. I
Mm.
think. So that's what we're trying to keep.
Mm.
I'm interested in proper real collaboration with people, right? Like
Mm.
you and like other people in the community. If they have got something that we can work together on, which have synergies, then I want to collaborate with you and help you to be part of what I'm doing, and that helps me to get through to the people that listen to your podcast, for example.
Yeah, well, I feel like this is kind of a magic about the community because, to be very honest, for me and Kiet, we're starting this podcast. It's starting with the connections and the community as well. Initially, value propositions we're trying to solve for
Mm,
our podcast was about the loneliness and disconnect among the product community.
mm,
Because even we are working in the large organization, but there's very little product managers kind of working in our kind of environments. We feel like a lot of people don't understanding the value proposition for product. Then we starting to interview or connecting with other product managers from across the industry. Then we realize this is actually a kind of common problem statement, I guess, across. So that's why as part of the last, I really feel like the whole grassroots of this community trying to bring people together was really there first day. Because even for me, I remember, I think I attended the last conference like 6 or 7 years ago. And that's where I basically know like almost everyone. I met Tess there. I think I met Peter there, and I think I met Dave Bells there. Basically, all the people in the community, I met everyone in the conference. And then now, if you look at how many years, 6 years later, I go to the community. These are still the people in the community, and we're connected, and in a really kind of a special way. So yeah, so that's why I feel like this is kind of almost like a high five to all the people who wanted to connect, and then we eventually connect together and make something bigger.
yeah, there's definitely a bunch of people out there who are into that type of thing, and we've been able to sustain something for that long.
Mm.
And I'm hoping that if people have sort of forgotten that it's good to talk to each other and get together with people, I'm hoping that people, now are ready to come back.
Mm.
So we're in a kind of rebuilding phase for this.
Yeah. Well, you have been running kind of these kind of events for a long time. And then I think, as you mentioned, I think this year, especially with all the disruption of AI, and then there's quite a lot of change. So have you seen any interesting pattern that emerge in the product space or the community space that you want to share with our audience?
I was thinking, how long is it going to be until one of us mentions AI? So it's been half an hour or so. So we've done pretty well.
Wow.
I kind of feel sorry for people who, in the last 10 years, say, everyone was saying, oh, you need to be a coder. Everyone needs to code because there's a skills gap. I kind of feel ill at ease about those people now who may be more junior who are trying to get into work right now. I think it's undeniable that that's happening.
100%. Well, I was listening to Linus' podcast this morning, and the title of the podcast sounds really scary. It's about, do we still need PM or not? Basically, the whole narrative was around product managers. The value proposition essentially changed. They have the ex-VP of Meta, and he also have another career podcast, Skip. It's actually one of my favorite podcasts. Basically, the common consensus is around the industry is changing so fast. No one have a certainty for anything.
Mhm.
Even if you feel there is a certainty, you feel like you get your kind of a heads around what it looks like. 3 months later, there's going to be a brand new way of working.
Yeah.
So one of the observation they see about industry is everyone in the industry is the most fatigued kind of generation. It actually specific calling out the people between 30 years old to 40 years old, like have a family, both of the parents starting to getting depends on you, and with the kids depending on you, and then in the process you feel like the work just demanding every single minute of you. And then, but at the flip side, they do also say the positive side around that is now everything it force you to thinking about what exactly is the value of the product manager. They force you to thinking about as a developer what exactly is the value you need to provide to your organization. So basically push everyone almost in a way to the core of your role and thinking about what are the non-value adding thing in your life that can potentially redesign and delegate to AI as well.
Something else that I'd add to that is that what I was talking about before with what I do being cross-functional, people understand what it is that they might be called upon to do further down the line, or to understand what other people are doing right now, because you might have to do that yourself.
That's actually a really good value proposition for the signal no noise, because that is something that I heard from the Linux as well. They were talking about people always joke about the role CPO, right? Well, we actually have quite a lot of senior product manager now going up to get the HR role for the organizations, simply because one of the biggest value for the product manager in the industry is about judgment and taste, right? Because everyone pushing in the Silicon Valley side for that as an important HR role. Now recruitment, how do you have the right judgment to hire the right people in the most efficient way? Actually, in some of organizations, they come to the conclusion that it's actually product managers. So that's why I really thinking, Ed, you might be on the money there. So there is actually much more cross-discipline kind of movement going to happen in the industry, because the title itself hold less meaning about what it is. It become what you actually do.
I'm glad you say that. I hope there's something there too. Essentially, I'm the product manager of my events, right? And what I can read at the moment is trying to help people to make sense and cut through the noise to find something which makes sense for them, the signal.
Maybe just to change the pace, your journey as a founder, being the product manager of your events. Are there any key decisions that you've made in the past that have outweighed consequences in kind of where you've landed today, whether positive or negative?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. So I work for myself, and I've done it now since I moved back to Australia. I enjoyed having much more autonomy over what it is that I'm doing. In some of your previous interviews, Kiet, you've referenced that Dan Pink autonomy, mastery and purpose, and that really hit home to me when I saw that particular YouTube video way back in the day. And I count myself to be very lucky. Having that autonomy has been really important to me. So I sort of learned that over many years of a 9-to-5 job working for someone else.
Yeah.
If you are working in a job, for me, I truly believe that understanding and being happy with why you're there, having that purpose is good as well.
It's really underrated, right? The sense of autonomy.
And a lot of people these days don't actually know that Dan Pink will drive. Yeah. So
that's our generation, kind of the must read, essentially. But then I guess the other reality is a lot of people just don't believe work can be something come with a purpose at the same time as well.
Yeah, I mean, but I can understand that too, because some people can just be like, I need X numbers of dollars to do what I need to do when I go home and look after my family.
Thank you for sharing that.
That's right.
Well, I think we are probably close to the end. I wanted to go back to signal noise because that's kind of reason why we are here for. And I think there is a big conference coming up. So I am interested to know if everything goes super successful for the single no noise, what does it look like in the next 1 to 3 years? Look like for the audience themselves, what kind of change you want to drive for, I guess, for yourself, and what does the conference itself, what does it look like?
Well, back when I used to use Twitter, my handle was Little Helper, right? And I pretty much do this to help the people that come along to these events improve how it is that they work together. And because I have that belief that things are better if you have autonomy, mastery, and purpose, I want to help more people to do that. And so it does come down to numbers in that sense. I want to rebuild in the next 1 to 3 years so that more people start coming along in greater numbers. I've got like this purpose of helping people to find better ways of doing things which they'll enjoy more. And to do that, they can come and share their experiences with each other.
The last question is about if we have other people in our audience really want to start a community like Single Noise or helping other people, what would be your tangible advice to them in the next 30 days?
The best thing I can really say is that, for me, trying to find something that you enjoyed doing was just really important. So I wasn't that type of person who always knew that they wanted. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I sort of just accidentally went into the digital product space. My advice is it's better if you can find something that you enjoy doing, basically. Yeah. But it might not be the same for everyone.
I don't think anyone set out, at least on our age, set out to be a product manager, or very few of them anyway.
I've been called a lot of things, job titles. Product manager has been amongst it, but I noticed that, you've asked people, how's your journey to being a product manager been? And mine hasn't been like that. It's sort of like I was a project manager, and then I was a solutions architect and a BA, and then I was a product manager. And now I'm not really a product manager as a title anymore. But yeah, I guess I am the product manager of my events as well.
That kind of really go with the theme. So now title, it doesn't really matter. It go back to the what value we are bringing to the table as well. Yeah, well, number one, it's very important for our audience to know the next Signal No Noise conference is coming up.
Yeah, so in Sydney, it's going to be 25th of June at the New South Wales Teachers Federation in Surrey Hills. And
it's actually very convenient. It's a really good location, just right next to a central station.
And Product Pals, you're going to have a particular Product Pals live track, I guess it's called.
Yeah, well, the whole idea around that is essentially we wanted to engage more product people and join the conference and having a live podcast with us in the conference, which is a little bit slightly more scary than this pre-recording one. However, we do think it's going to be a really, really fun experience for people to basically have a live engagement. If there's any questions, the question is not only going to come from me and Kiet, it's going to be from the audience as well, to invite more people interested about the product management and the future about the product management to join the conversation.
So you're working on some guests now. Right.
If anyone in the audience is interested to speak or know someone who will be a great guest, please let us know, because we would love to have you guys to do that together with us.
So yes, you've heard it here first, right? This is the first ever live Product Pals recording, and we haven't locked in our guests as yet, but we're excited. We've got a short list of people we're looking to reach out to, and anything's possible right now.
So, I mean, I guess I should chuck in now that it's signal-not-noise.com/Sydney.
We'll put the actual words on the screen here.
Yeah. And we'll put our links in the show notes as well.
And at the time of this recording, we have quite a lot of things which have been announced in the three other tracks, which aren't the Product Pals podcast track as well. Our opening session is going to be, it's got the working title of Work Rewritten, and we've got Harry Wiputra, who is the Chief Product Officer of High Pages, to be part of that. And we also have the co-founder and CEO of a company called Multitudes, who's over in New Zealand. She's called Lauren Pete, and they do a lot of work researching how developers are using AI in their work by using the data analytics capabilities of their platform. So they're going to come along and talk briefly about what they've done in the past, what's happening now, and what they see in the future around the way that how people do product development work, how that's going to be evolving, I guess. And we're looking to get at least one other person in on that. And after they have their piece, then there'll be a discussion with the room on that.
Nice. Out of curiosity, is it on brand, the stream called Rework? Is that another homage to 37 Signals?
No, it isn't actually. Just
Happy coincidence.
Yeah. I do have that book somewhere behind me.
And if you're not in Sydney, there are other locations around Australia as well?
Oh, yes. Sydney's end of June, and end of May, there's Adelaide. And then the Brisbane and Melbourne date's going to be later on in the year. I think it's almost 100% that Melbourne's going to be the 13th of November. And
nice.
Brisbane is going to be September or October. So we've had people from New Zealand, Japan, Scandinavia, USA, Europe, all over the place, as both presenters and as people who've come along to join in those sessions. So try and keep it so that it's an all year round. So yeah, you can find out more about that as well.
It's a global network.
Yeah, something like that. But it's my own humble version of it.
Definitely.
All right. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay.
Ed.
Yeah. Thank you for being spending the time with us and chatting about Signal Not Noise. All the best. It sounds like a really exciting event coming up.
Yeah, very much both.